Okay, so we were talking about the time-space complex. It's a known entity defined by Einstein. Literally, before the Einstein, there was a lot of ignorance under the effect of Newtonian science, and which again, that's how the world turns, right? Little by little, as the research comes and the new ideas, new concept come until you cannot refute the new idea, then it becomes the fact. So time and space is interrelated. That's what Einstein says. When you gain in time, you lose the space. And when you gain in space, you lose the time. If you travel faster and you increase your speed and your space starts, expanding, and at infinity, the time disappears and it becomes infinite. So there are interrelated things. And if you really logically think about it, the this time is created by the rotation of the earth around the sun and all that. So that's in our perception. Space is also in our perception. If you have a room, you measure the distance between two walls and say, okay, this is 10 feet, 15 feet, whatever. So again, it's the work of the mind. And if you really think about it, these are only concepts. What happens if you remove the walls? The space is still going to be the space, but you cannot define it as a space. It merges with the surrounding space and then more surrounding and infinite. So both of them are, if you come out of the solar system, the same problem. You cannot measure the time. And yet, our everyday life is controlled by the time and space, all the events that happen, right? So it has two things. When did it happen? Where did it happen? So time and space are closely linked into every single event, and they are time stamped and space stamped. So we are locked in. And if you really logically even think about all these things, we are born in time space complex, we live in the time space complex, and we die in a time space complex. So to someone who really looks at this as a confined way of living, the question comes is, how do we escape it? So every moment that we call that it is happening in time space complex is created by all the objects or the people or the situations that is around us. In that particular moment, whatever happens, if I see a patient and the patient is in front of me, I am in front of him, I am in my maximum state of consciousness. So easy. And so is the chair or the table or the computer. Each one is in a moving state, in a changing state. I will be getting older, so will he be, and the computer and the table. Everything has an age. Everything has a life, birth, growth, decay, and death. But in that particular moment, we are at our highest state in that particular state possible. So we create that particular event where everything is recognized as in their highest state of consciousness. If that patient leaves and wants to remember his visit with me 5, 10 minutes later, he will have to bring it out of his memory. And the memory will not be as well defined as when that event actually took place. So memory is there, reminds you of that, but it's not the same thing. So that's where the maximum possibility for us to meet the consciousness is in the now. So we understand that. So how do we proceed from there? So the trick is to realize that what creates the time. So the mind creates the time with the possibility of past, possibility of future, the past memories, and all those things, they come in the middle of us because in particular moment we are here and so is everything around us. Say you're hiking And there is a sunlight, there are trees, there are leaves, there are birds, there are rocks where you're walking on, there is a soil, and the oxygen that you're breathing. All these things are happening. Every single thing is creation of the consciousness. So instead of paying attention to that, our mind starts wavering. And when the mind starts wavering, the present moment, which is a chance for you to meet the consciousness, disappears. So the key thing is to work on the time. And when you, of course, meditate on a regular basis and you learn the habit of letting the thoughts pass, all the thoughts that come and go, you develop a sense of beingness, being a witness, being in the moment. But as soon as the eyes open and we go and then we start living our daily life and where we have multiple things to do and mind starts wavering, sometimes it's necessary. But most of the times, 99% of the thoughts are unnecessary. And we keep on bringing them into the present moment. So you have two ways. See, time and space, you cannot escape one or the other, both. But time, you can eliminate the major components of it, meaning the past and the future, by not paying attention to them. And then divert your attention to the present moment. So remember what Einstein said, when you lose in time, you gain in space. So space is the emptiness around which you don't perceive it, but all the events are taking place in particular space. You look at a tree, right? So tree is growing. Tree, as you can say, somebody says, describe the tree. So you will describe the tree is 30, 40 feet tall. It has leaves and has flowers and all those things. And then you realize the importance of the sunlight and the water and the minerals coming from. All those things helpful in the growth of the tree. But nobody pays attention to the space that it takes to grow. If there was no space, tree will not be. If you put it in a box and you limit the space, the tree will not happen. It will go become a little short tree and seedling, and that's it. It will not have any growth. So space is a component, is one of those elements that we really do not pay attention to it. So the event that is happening in particular moment, if you develop a habit of just connecting with everything that is around you, whatever it is, live, non-live, it doesn't matter, and realize that these are at their highest consciousness, and they are here, they will not be here tomorrow. So to be in the moment is to enjoy those. Enjoy the bird chirping, enjoy the trees, enjoy the wind, enjoy the sunlight. You become one with the environment. And then what happens is, that means you forgot the time. Time is a division, and imaginary divisions of something that is abstract. And yet, from the society point of view, it's important, no question about it. But they are not real. So the past we create with the memories, future we create with imaginations. So they are excessive utilization of the mind, because mind is the timekeeper. Mind is the time creator. So we utilize mind all the time, and that's what hurts us in the moment. So when you start realizing then, and then you start merging and enjoying every moment, what happens, the corollary to that, you lose the time. You lose the sense of time. And when you lose the sense of time, the space gains. And the space expands. And you cannot even describe it as a space. It's because the space that is in front of you, there are no limits to it. So when you go backward and away from the mind, which is a holder of the past and present and future and all those things, you are walking away from your limitations, the divisions of life that we have created. And these divisions are so solid, has taken a very strong hold in our mind, that we cannot divide it. We cannot come out of it. It keeps on dividing our mind, and that's why the mind remains active all the time around those divisions, and we live a divided life, a life of Dvait. So when you manage somehow, and it does not happen overnight, it takes time, especially when you're by yourself. You can do it. You can experiment that whatever is around you, you be one with it. Little by little, the past will disappear, future will disappear, and you will start getting connected with the present. And the past and the future are the activities which are totally meaningless and unnecessary most of the times. So you remain in the present. And when the past is removed, future is removed, what is present then? Nothing. Present needs definition of past and future to be called present, right? So when the past is removed, future is removed, what remains is the consciousness. And in that consciousness is infinite, just like the space. Space goes on and on and on. So this expansion brings you the joy. The expansion itself is joyful. That's why we feel so good in Savasana. What happens when you die? What happens? You experience the death. You live right now, you may not realize it. When you die, that you will realize it. But in Savasana, you realize it also that you have been living a limited life because you have yourself, your body, your mind, your possessions, your relatives, friends, all the memories, all those things still doesn't mean anything. When you die, you merge with the eternity. And in comparison to eternity, what is the value of this that you lived the whole life? To you, it may be important. The same way, what is the importance of your dream to anybody else? Nobody cares about your dream. Even you don't care once you wake up. What happens when you wake up? You expand your consciousness. Now you are in a different level of consciousness. So the dream becomes unimportant. So you walk away from it. And that's exactly what's going to happen to the life that you have lived. It will become nothing but a dream. So we have a chance to come out of this dream every single moment. So if we learn how to live in the moment, we are practicing to connect with the ultimately through the space, expansive space into the infinite consciousness. So it takes time, and with practice, little by little, you can train your mind. You will lose it from the present moment. Will we come back again? Especially you walk on a long hikes, the hike becomes joyful. Why? Because there was no mind. And you stop looking at the time. So when you don't care about the time, you merge in the space dimension. And that space dimension takes you further into the infinity. So much for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me stop the recording.